I'm standing in my daughter's kitchen, watching her fiancé's mother rearrange cupboards while barking orders at Emma like she's the help. My daughter, a pediatric nurse who saves lives, is on her hands and knees scrubbing floors. Todd's entire family moved in 3 days ago with suitcases, claimed bedrooms, and act like they own the place. They barely see me sitting in the corner. I've stayed quiet, observing everything. But when Diane tells Emma to sleep on the couch tonight so Stephanie can have the master bedroom, I stand up. Everyone goes quiet. I look at each of them, and I speak one calm sentence that changes everything. Let me back up 6 months so you understand how we got here. My name is Brian. I'm 68 years old, and I've spent my entire life building things. I started as a carpenter's apprentice when I was 16, worked my way through night school, became a licensed architect, and eventually built my own firm in Brooklyn. It wasn't glamorous work. I designed apartment buildings, small office complexes, community centers, practical structures for practical people. I made a good living, but I never forgot where I came from or what hard work actually meant. My wife Sarah and I had one child. Just one. Emma came into our lives when I was 36 and Sarah was 34. Wed tried for years, gone through treatments, faced disappointments. When Emma finally arrived, she felt like a miracle. We poured everything into raising her right. Not spoiling her, but teaching her values, compassion, hard work, integrity. Sarah was an elementary school teacher, patient and kind to her core. Emma inherited that kindness. Emma grew up watching her mother help everyone. Sarah volunteered at food banks, tutored struggling students for free, took meals to elderly neighbors. She showed Emma that caring for others wasn't just nice. It was necessary. Emma absorbed those lessons completely. Too completely, maybe. She became the kid who befriended the lonely students, who gave away her lunch money, who couldn't say no when someone needed help. She went to nursing school, specialized in pediatrics, and threw herself into a career saving sick children. She worked doubles, covered shifts for colleagues, stayed late with worried parents. She was extraordinary at her job, but she neglected herself. By 32, she was exhausted, underpaid, drowning in student loans, living in a 400-square-foot studio in Queens that cost $1,800 a month. 3 years ago, Sarah died suddenly. An aneurysm. She was 65, healthy, vibrant one morning and gone by afternoon. It shattered both of us. Emma took a month off work to help me through it, stayed at our Connecticut house, made sure I ate and slept. She was grieving too, but she put me first. That's who she was. After Sarah died, I couldn't stay in that house. Too many memories in every room. Too much silence. I sold it and bought a small condo in Manhattan, something manageable for an old man living alone. But had been planning something else for years. Sarah and I had always talked about giving Emma a real home someday, something she'd never have to worry about losing. After Sarah passed, I made it my mission. I found a brownstone in Park Slope, Brooklyn. 4 stories, recently renovated, original 1890s details preserved beautifully. Crown moldings, hardwood floors, a working fireplace, tall windows that let in golden afternoon light. It had 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, a finished basement, and a rooftop terrace with views of the Manhattan skyline. The place cost me just under $2 million. I used the money from our Connecticut house, my retirement savings, and some smart investments I'd made over the years. I bought it outright, no mortgage. I had the deed transferred entirely into Emma's name before I ever told her about it. On her 32nd birthday, I took her to lunch at her favorite Italian restaurant in Brooklyn. After dessert, I slid an envelope across the table. She opened it, confused, and pulled out the deed. Her name, Emma Grace Carson, listed as sole owner. She stared at it for a long time. Then she looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "Dad, what is this?" "It's your home, sweetheart. You'll never have to worry about rent again. You'll never have a landlord threatening to sell. It's yours, completely." She couldn't speak. She just cried. We both did. Other diners probably thought someone had died. In a way, someone had. But this was about life moving forward. We walked to the Brownstone together that afternoon. I had the keys. We went through every room, Emma kept touching the walls like she couldn't believe they were real. She stood on the rooftop terrace, looking out at the city where Shed worked so hard for so long, and she whispered, "Mom would have loved this." She did. I told her. We picked it out together, actually. In our heads. All those nights talking about your future. Emma moved in 2 weeks later. She was giddy with joy, decorating slowly, choosing paint colors, planning a garden for the terrace. She invited me over constantly. We'd cook dinner together, sit on the front stoop with coffee, talk about everything and nothing. I saw her transform. The exhaustion lifted. She had space to breathe. She started taking better care of herself. Then, 2 months after she moved in, she met Todd. They connected on some dating app. He was a pharmaceutical sales representative, 34 years old, well-dressed, drove a nice car. He took Emma to good restaurants, sent flowers to the hospital, said all the right things about wanting a family and building a future. Emma was cautious at first. She'd been burned before by men who couldn't handle her demanding schedule. But Todd seemed different. He claimed he admired her dedication. He showed up at the Brownstone with takeout after her long shifts. He complimented the house, told her she deserved it. I met him after they'd been dating 6 weeks. He came to Sunday dinner at Emma's place. Firm handshake, good eye contact, asked me about my architecture career with apparent genuine interest. He talked about his pharmaceutical sales numbers, his career goals, his close family. He seemed responsible, stable, maybe a little too smooth, but I figured that came with sales training. 4 months after they met, Todd proposed. Emma called me at 11 at night, sobbing with happiness. Part of me thought it was fast, too fast. But Emma was 32, Todd was 34. Both were adults who knew what they wanted, and Emma was radiant. I wasn't going to dim that light with my caution. The engagement party happened at the Brownstone. That's when I met Todd's family properly. His mother, Diane, a heavy-set woman with blonde hair and a loud laugh. His father, Roger, quiet, balding, seemed content to let Diane run things. His sister, Stephanie, 36, married to a thin, nervous man named Kyle, with 2 teenage kids, Brandon and Kylie. They were pleasant enough, middle-class family from New Jersey. Diane complimented the Brownstone extensively, asked lots of questions about when Id bought it and how much it cost. I deflected politely. Roger talked about his recent early retirement from middle management at a logistics company. Stephanie complained about rent prices in New Jersey. Nothing raised red flags. They seemed like ordinary people. The wedding was set for 8 months away. Emma and Todd started planning. She was handling most of it. He was supposedly too busy with work. I noticed he often worked late, traveled for conferences, wasn't around as much as Id expected for an engaged couple. But Emma didn't complain. She said she understood. Pharmaceutical sales was demanding. Then, about 3 months after the engagement, Todd came to Sunday dinner with Emma and mentioned casually over pasta that his parents were having some temporary financial troubles. Nothing serious, just some unexpected expenses. They needed a place to stay for a week or two while they sorted things out. Emma immediately said, "Of course they can stay here. We have plenty of room." Todd smiled, squeezed her hand. "You're amazing, babe." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Not because helping family was wrong, but because Todd hadn't asked Emma, had informed her, made it sound already decided, and knew she'd agree because that's who she was. And the way he smiled when she said yes, there was something calculating in it. I kept my mouth shut. I didn't want to interfere in Emma's relationship. I didn't want to be the suspicious, overprotective father. Maybe I was reading too much into it. Maybe they really just needed temporary help, but I asked Emma quietly while Todd was in the bathroom. "Did you two discuss this beforehand?" "Not really," she admitted. "But it's fine, Dad. It's just his parents. Just for a little while. Just his parents. Just for a little while." I wish I'd trusted my instincts right then. 1 week later, I stopped by the Brownstone mid-afternoon. I had some framed family photos I'd found while cleaning out storage. Pictures of Emma and Sarah together. Thought she'd want them. I turned onto her street and saw a moving truck parked outside. Not a small van, a full-sized moving truck. My stomach dropped. I parked and walked up as 2 young guys were hauling furniture into Emma's house. Diane stood on the front steps, directing traffic like a general deploying troops. No, no. That dresser goes to the third floor. The couch goes in the living room. Careful with that lamp. It's an antique. I walked up the steps. Diane, what's going on? She barely glanced at me. Oh, Brian, hello. We're just getting settled. Emma's inside. I went in. The place was chaos. Boxes everywhere. Furniture being rearranged. And not just Diane and Roger. Stephanie was there, directing her husband Kyle and their two teenagers, Brandon and Kylie, who were carrying suitcases upstairs. 7 people. Not 2. I found Emma in the kitchen, looking overwhelmed. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She wore old jeans and a t-shirt, and she was trying to smile through obvious stress. Dad! Hi! She said, voice tight. I wasn't expecting you. Emma? What's happening? She glanced toward the living room, where Diane's voice echoed. It's a bit more than we expected. Todd's parents needed space. But then Stephanie and Kyle's lease ended suddenly, so they needed somewhere too. Just until they find a new place. And you know, the kids are in school. Couldn't disrupt that. How long? They're thinking, maybe a month. 6 weeks tops. I looked around. Diane had taken over the kitchen, reorganizing cabinets, muttering about Emma's organizational system. Roger was setting up a laptop in what was supposed to be Emma's reading room, spreading papers across the desk. The teenagers were arguing about who got which bedroom. Where's Todd? I asked. At work. Big meeting today. Of course he was. Convenient. I watched Diane open Emma's refrigerator, frown, and start making a list. We're going to need more food. This won't feed everyone. Emma, honey, can you run to the store? Emma actually moved toward her purse. I put a hand on her arm. Emma, can we talk? Outside. We went to the small backyard. Emma immediately started defending the situation. I know it looks like a lot, but they really needed help. Stephanie and Kyle had a landlord who sold the building, gave them 30 days notice. They couldn't find anything affordable. Diane and Roger are helping with the grandkids while they search. It makes sense for everyone to be together. Did Todd discuss this with you? She hesitated. He mentioned Stephanie might need to stay too. Did he ask if it was okay? Another hesitation. Not exactly, but I couldn't say no, Dad. They're going to be my family. I noticed something then. Bruises on Emma's knees, dark purple and yellow, painful looking. What happened to your knees? She glanced down, pulled her jeans over them. Oh, I bumped into furniture while helping them move things around. It's nothing. It wasn't nothing. Those were the kind of bruises you get from kneeling for extended periods on hard floors. Scrubbing, cleaning. Before I could press further, Diane called from the back door. Emma, sweetie, Stephanie needs help with the laundry. She brought a lot, poor thing. Hasn't had time to wash anything. Emma's face tightened, but she smiled. Coming, she started toward the house. I grabbed her arm gently. Emma, if you need anything, you call me. Anytime. You understand. She kissed my cheek. I'm fine, Dad. Really, it's just temporary. I left, but I couldn't shake the feeling of wrongness. As I walked to my car, I heard Diane's voice drifting through an open window, talking to Stephanie. This kitchen is so outdated. We should repaint, maybe new curtains. I saw some beautiful ones at Home Goods. She was already redecorating. That evening, my phone rang. It was Jack Morrison, an old friend who'd become a real estate attorney after we worked together on several projects. We'd stayed close over the years. Brian, I need to ask you something, and I need you not to panic, Jack said. My pulse quickened. What's going on? Did you give Emma's fiancé permission to add his name to the Brownstone deed? Absolutely not. Why? Because someone tried. About a week ago, a man named Todd Harrison filed paperwork at the Brooklyn City Registry Office, attempting to add himself as co-owner. He claimed he was Emma's husband. The clerk rejected it because they're not married and Emma wasn't present to consent. But it raised flags. The clerk knows me, knows I handle property issues, called to verify. I looked into it. That's your daughter's property, right? I felt like I'd been punched. Yes. Brian, this wasn't a mistake. He brought documentation, tried to claim common law marriage, which doesn't even exist in New York. When that didn't work, he argued they were engaged and had verbal agreement. The clerk shut it down. But it shows intent. Intent to steal my daughter's house. In layman's terms, yes. I sat down heavily. How do I handle this? Tell Emma, immediately. And get her to a lawyer. If she marries him without a prenuptial agreement, he could claim marital property rights. Depending how things go, he might actually succeed in taking half. New York is an equitable distribution state. If she's not careful, she could lose everything. I thanked Jack and hung up. I called Emma. It went to voicemail. I texted her to call me urgently. She didn't respond until nearly 10 that night. Sorry, Dad. Crazy evening. What's up? Emma. I need you to come to my place tomorrow. Alone. It's important. Is everything okay? No. Sweetheart. It's not. We agreed to meet for breakfast. I barely slept that night. Emma came to my Manhattan condo at 8 in the morning. She looked worse than the day before. She'd lost weight. I could see it in her face. Dark circles under her eyes. She moved slowly, like everything hurt. I made coffee, scrambled eggs, toast. She picked at the food. Talk to me, I said. Really talk to me. She broke, just completely fell apart. The past 3 weeks had been hell. Todd's family didn't treat the Brownstone like temporary housing. They'd settled in like permanent residents. Worse, they treated Emma like staff. Diane woke her every morning at 6:30, even on Emma's days off, demanding breakfast for everyone. Emma would cook, serve, and clean up while the family ate. Then she'd go to work for a 12-hour nursing shift. She'd come home exhausted to a house full of people expecting dinner. She'd cook again, serve again, clean again. Diane criticized everything. The meals were too salty, too bland, too spicy, too boring. The house wasn't clean enough. Emma's organizational system was chaos. Her decorating choices were ugly. Diane had already repainted the downstairs bathroom without asking, charged the paint to Emma's credit card. She'd bought new living room curtains, new throw pillows, a new rug, all on Emma's card. Roger had completely taken over the ground floor office. His consulting business seemed to consist of watching sports and making personal phone calls. Head submitted a request to upgrade Emma's internet package to the most expensive tier because his streaming kept buffering. The bill would hit Emma's account. Stephanie didn't work. She'd decided to be a stay-at-home mom to teenagers who were perfectly capable of caring for themselves. She spent her days shopping, leaving Emma to watch Brandon and Kylie after school. The kids were destructive. They'd spilled juice on the original hardwood floors and didn't clean it up, leaving a sticky stain. Brandon had punched a hole in his bedroom wall during a gaming rage. Kylie had burned a bathroom countertop with a hair straightener. Todd was never home. Always working, always busy, always unavailable. When Emma tried to talk to him about boundaries with his family, he'd get defensive, say she was being selfish. They were family. They needed help. Why was she being so difficult? Emma had stopped sleeping in the master bedroom. Diane had claimed it, said the bed was better for her back. Emma and Todd were in a smaller bedroom, except Todd was rarely there, and when he was, he just slept. Emma was spending over $2,000 a month on groceries feeding everyone. Her credit cards were maxed out from Diane's redecorating spree. She'd used her emergency savings to cover utilities that had tripled with 7 extra people. She was exhausted, broke, and miserable in her own home. Why don't you tell them to leave? I asked gently. Because Todd gets so angry. He says I'm being heartless. They're going through a hard time. What kind of person turns away family? He says if I can't handle this, how will I handle marriage? He says maybe we need to reconsider the wedding. There it was. The threat. The manipulation. I took her hands. Emma, I need to tell you something, and you're not going to want to hear it. I told her about Todd's attempted deed fraud. Her face went through shock, denial, disbelief, then horror. That's not possible. He wouldn't do that. Jack saw the paperwork himself. Todd tried to add his name to your property, without your knowledge or consent. That's fraud, Emma. She sat back, staring at nothing. Processing. Why would he do that? Because he's not who you think he is. I had Jack do some more digging after he called. Emma, Todd isn't 34, has 38. He lied about his age. And this isn't his first engagement. Has been engaged twice before, both times to women with significant assets. Both engagements ended badly. One woman, her name is Patricia, filed a restraining order against him after he tried to access her bank accounts. Emma's hands were shaking. You investigated him. After I found out about the deed. Yes. I had to know. You should have told me. I'm telling you now. She stood up, pacing. Maybe there's an explanation. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Emma, honey, there's no misunderstanding, fraud. But she wasn't ready to hear it. Not fully. She left. Said she needed to think. Needed to talk to Todd. She called me that night at 11. Shed confronted Todd. And everything Id feared became so much worse. Todd hadn't denied trying to add his name to the deed. Head justified it. He said once we're married, it'll be half his anyway, so what's the difference? Emma told me. Voice hollow. He said his mom has been coaching him on marital asset strategies. Said I should stop being difficult and just put his name on it now to save trouble later. He said it proves I trust him. What did you say? I said no. I said it's my house, my name. That's how it stays. He got really angry. Said I was acting like he's a gold digger. Said I was insulting him and his family. Then he told me his grandmother is moving in next month, and his cousin Danny and his wife are between places. They'll need the basement. I closed my eyes. Hes planning to fill your house permanently. I told him I couldn't handle more people. I told him I was drowning. He said I was being selfish and dramatic. I said maybe we should postpone the wedding until things settled. And he laughed. Dad, he actually laughed. Why did he laugh? He said we've already paid for everything. The venue, the caterer, the photographer. Deposits are non-refundable. All our friends and family have saved the date. Everyone knows we're getting married. He said it'd look like a fool calling it off. He said no one would understand. Everyone would think I'm unstable. He had her trapped. Financially, socially, emotionally trapped. Emma, you need to end this. I know, she whispered. But I don't know how. I'm so tired, Dad. I don't have the energy to fight. Then let me fight for you. What are you going to do? I'm going to stay with you for a few days. I told you I wanted to spend time with you before the wedding anyway. Let me come observe. Let me see what's really happening. She agreed. I think she was desperate for any help. I packed a bag and moved into Emma's fourth-floor guest room the next day. The next 3 days were an education in psychological torture. I arrived Friday afternoon. Diane answered the door. She looked surprised to see me with a suitcase. Brian, what's this? I'm staying a few days. Spend time with Emma before the wedding. Her smile tightened. How lovely. The guest room is quite small. I'm sure it'll be fine. I went upstairs. The small fourth-floor room was barely big enough for a twin bed and a dresser. It would do. I came down and settled into observation mode. I'm good at being quiet. Decades of construction sites taught me to watch, listen, absorb before acting. It'd do the same here. Day 1 was Friday. I watched Diane wake Emma at 6:45 in the morning, even though Emma had worked until midnight at the hospital and had the day off. Diane knocked loudly on her door. Emma, everyone's hungry. Breakfast won't make itself. Emma stumbled downstairs in pajamas, started cooking. Scrambled eggs, bacon, toast, fruit. 9 plates. She served everyone while they sat around the dining table talking. Nobody thanked her. Diane complained the bacon was too crispy. After breakfast, Diane handed Emma a list. We need groceries. Also, Roger's shirts need dry cleaning. And can you drive Stephanie to the mall later? Her car is making a noise. Emma took the list without argument. I offered to help with dishes. Diane actually shooed me away. Men don't belong in the kitchen, Brian. Go relax. I went to the living room, sat in a chair in the corner, and opened a book. But I wasn't reading. I was watching. Roger sat in Emma's office, watching a baseball game on his laptop. Stephanie was on the couch, scrolling her phone. The teenagers were still asleep. Todd had left for work at 6 in the morning, hadn't said goodbye to Emma. Emma did the dishes, then went upstairs to shower. When she came down dressed, Diane had another task. The bathroom on the second floor is dirty. Brandon's friends were over yesterday. Boys are so messy. Emma cleaned the bathroom. Then she went grocery shopping, spending $347 on food for the week. Then she took Roger's shirts to the dry cleaner. Then she drove Stephanie to the mall, waited 2 hours while Stephanie shopped, drove her back. It was 4 in the afternoon when Emma finally sat down. Diane appeared. "What are we having for dinner?" Emma looked like she might cry. "I haven't thought about it." "Well, you should. Everyone will be hungry soon." Emma got up and started cooking. I wanted to intervene. I wanted to tell Diane to shut her mouth and cook her own dinner. But I'd promised Emma I'd observe. So I sat in my corner chair, apparently reading, actually documenting everything mentally. Dinner was at 6. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, rolls. Emma served 9 plates again. The family ate, chatted, laughed. Emma sat down to finally eat her own plate. Diane frowned. "Emma, did you forget drinks? Roger needs iced tea." Emma got up, made iced tea, served it. She sat back down. Her food was cold. After dinner, Emma cleared the table and did dishes. It was 8:30 at night. She'd been working since 6:45 that morning. She hadn't stopped. She came into the living room, collapsed on the couch near my chair. She looked utterly drained. Diane walked in. "Oh, good. You're done. Can you do laundry tonight?" Stephanie's kids went through all their clean clothes. Emma's face crumpled, just for a second. Then she smiled. "Sure." She went to the basement and started laundry. Todd came home at 10. Ate the plate Emma had saved for him. Didn't thank her. Went upstairs to bed. I stayed up, reading in the living room, until Emma finished the laundry at 11:30. She sat next to me, put her head on my shoulder. "This is every day," she whispered. I put my arm around her. "I know. Sweetheart, I don't know how much longer I can do this. You won't have to. Trust me." Day 2 was Saturday. Emma didn't have work. She should have been able to rest. Instead, Diane had a full schedule planned. "We're redecorating the guest bedroom, the one Brian's in, after he leaves. Obviously. Let's go pick out paint colors and bedding." Emma tried to beg off. Diane insisted. They left at 9 in the morning, were gone until 2 in the afternoon. Emma came back carrying shopping bags full of items charged to her credit card. She looked ready to collapse. I helped her bring the bags in. "Emma, you don't have to do this." She won't stop asking until I give in. It's easier to just do it. That's what they'd done. Ground her down until resistance felt harder than compliance. That afternoon, Diane went through Emma's closet. I heard them upstairs, Diane's voice echoing. "You can't wear these after you're married. Too revealing, too tight, too young. You're going to be a wife, Emma. You need to dress appropriately." She pulled out at least 20 items, announced she'd donate them to Goodwill. Emma's clothes, from Emma's closet, without permission. Emma didn't fight. I sat in my corner, watching, documenting, controlling my rage. That evening, Stephanie asked to borrow Emma's car. Emma handed over the keys without question. Stephanie returned 3 hours later. The gas tank was empty. There was a new dent in the rear bumper. "Oh, sorry. Someone hit me in a parking lot. Total hit and run," Stephanie said breezily, handing back the keys. Emma stared at the dent, said nothing. I offered to help Emma cook dinner. Diane actually waved me away from the kitchen. "Brian, this is women's work. Go watch TV with Roger." I returned to my corner chair. Todd came home at midnight. Emma had fallen asleep on the couch waiting for him. He woke her up. "Where's my dinner?" She heated up his plate. Day 3 was Sunday. The breaking point was coming. Emma worked an 8-hour shift at the hospital. She came home at 6 in the evening. Stephanie's kids had cooked spaghetti for lunch and somehow spilled an entire pot of sauce on the kitchen floor. It had been sitting there for hours, congealing, staining the tile. Diane met Emma at the door. "There you are. There's a mess in the kitchen. Can you handle it before you make dinner?" Emma dropped her nurse's bag, got on her hands and knees, and started scrubbing. I watched my daughter, this woman who'd spent her day saving children's lives, reduced to scrubbing a floor no one else would clean. Diane stood over her, critiquing her technique. You're not getting it all. Use more elbow grease. It's going to stain if you don't do it properly. Roger was in the living room, yelling at the television during a football game. The teenagers were upstairs arguing about bathroom time. Stephanie was on her phone, complaining to a friend about how small the bedrooms were compared to her old place. I sat in my corner chair, book open, not reading a word. Todd was out again, hadn't said where. Hadn't called. Emma scrubbed for 45 minutes. Her knees would have fresh bruises tomorrow. Her hands were red and raw. She finally finished, stood up slowly, grimacing. She started preparing dinner. Chicken, rice, vegetables. 9 plates again. Everyone ate. Emma barely touched her food. After dinner, as Emma cleared plates, Diane made an announcement. I've been thinking about sleeping arrangements. Stephanie and Kyle and the kids really need more space. They're crammed into those bedrooms on the 3rd floor. The master bedroom is much larger. It makes sense for them to take it. Emma and Todd can move to the smaller room on the 2nd floor. Emma looked up from the dishes, shocked. That's our bedroom. Well, you're barely using it. Todd's never here, and you're always working. Stephanie's family needs it more. Where will we sleep? Diane shrugged. The pull-out couch in the den is perfectly comfortable. Actually, Todd might as well sleep in his old room upstairs with Roger until the wedding. No point you two sharing when he's gone so much. The couch is fine for you. The room went silent. Emma stood there, dishwater dripping from her hands, staring at Diane in disbelief. And then she said the words that made my heart break. Okay. She agreed. She actually started to agree. She turned toward the stairs, presumably to start moving her clothes out of the master bedroom. I stood up. Everyone turned to look at me. They'd barely acknowledged my presence for 3 days. It'd been furniture, background noise, the old man sitting quietly in the corner. Not anymore. I walked slowly to the center of the room. I looked at Diane, then Roger, then Stephanie and Kyle. The teenagers had come downstairs, sensing tension. Diane actually smirked at me. She thought I was going to stay silent. 3 days of silence. Why would now be different? I took a breath, and I spoke. You have exactly 1 hour to pack your belongings and leave my daughter's property, or I'll have the police remove you for trespassing and fraud. The silence was absolute. Then, Diane laughed. Nervous, uncertain. But she laughed. Brian, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. This is Todd's home. I kept my voice level. Calm. Each word deliberate. No, it's not. The deed is solely in Emma's name. I purchased this property. I have all documentation. You've been living here without a lease, without paying rent, and without the owner's genuine consent. That's trespassing. Roger stood up from the couch. Now hold on, just a minute. Sit down. Something in my voice made him sit. Todd appeared in the doorway. Had been home, apparently. Hiding upstairs. Had heard everything. You have no right, Todd said, trying to sound authoritative. This is between me and Emma. You're interfering in our relationship. I turned to face him. You attempted to fraudulently add your name to a property deed. That's a felony in New York State. I have the rejected application from the city registry office and a statement from the clerk who processed it. Todd's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You went to the Brooklyn City Registry 3 weeks ago. You claimed you were Emma's husband. You tried to file paperwork adding yourself as co-owner of this brownstone. The clerk rejected it because you had no legal standing. That's attempted fraud, Todd. Criminal fraud. The room erupted. Diane started protesting. Stephanie was asking Todd if it was true. Roger was saying this was all a misunderstanding. I raised my voice just slightly. I'm not finished. Everyone went quiet. I pulled my phone from my pocket. I have 3 lawyers on speed dial. I have Detective Marcus Harris from the 78th Precinct on standby. He's waiting for my call. I've documented everything over the past 3 days. Utility bills showing 9 residents in a single-family home. Photographs of property damage. Credit card statements showing unauthorized charges. and testimony from 4 different neighbors about the noise violations and the moving truck that arrived a month ago. I looked at Diane. I also have your text messages to Todd about asset acquisition strategies and securing the property before marriage. Emma's phone backs up to a family cloud account. I've read every message you sent him, every piece of advice about getting his name on the deed, about making Emma financially dependent, about filling the house with family so she'd feel obligated. Diane's face flushed red. You had no right to read those messages. Emma gave me access to the family cloud years ago. She forgot about it. I didn't, and it's been illuminating. Stephanie stood up. This is insane. We're family. We're just helping each other out. I turned to her. You're not family. Not yet, and now, not ever. I looked at Emma. She was frozen by the kitchen sink, tears streaming down her face. I walked over to her, spoke gently. Emma, sweetheart, I need you to tell them to leave. This is your home. You have to say it. Emma's voice shook. I want you all to leave. Diane scoffed. Don't be ridiculous. Where will we go? I answered. That's not our concern. You sold your house in New Jersey 6 months ago. You netted $320,000 from the sale. You have money. Find a hotel. Rent an apartment. That's your problem, not ours. Roger's jaw dropped. How do you know about that? I had a very thorough private investigator review all your finances this week. You're not going through hard times. You chose to retire early. You chose to sell your house. You chose to freeload off my daughter instead of using your own money. That was a choice. A calculated choice. I checked my watch. 55 minutes remaining. Todd took a step toward Emma. Baby, come on. You don't mean this. We're getting married in 5 months. My family just needs help. You're being selfish. I moved between them. Don't talk to her. She's my fiancé. Not anymore. Todd tried to go around me to reach Emma. I blocked him. He grabbed my arm. Get out of my way, old man. I removed his hand from my arm calmly, firmly. I'm 70 years old and I can still put you through that wall. Do not touch me again. And never touch my daughter. Todd tried to grab Emma's arm instead. Tried to pull her toward him. We're leaving together? This is insane, Emma cried out in pain. I stepped between them, pried Todd's hand off Emma's arm, and shoved him backward. Hard. He stumbled, caught himself against the counter. The room froze. My voice dropped to ice. Touch my daughter again and I won't call the police. I'll handle it myself. 50 years of construction work. I've lifted steel beams, poured concrete, framed buildings. You think your gym membership scares me? Touch her again and find out. Roger moved like he was going to help his son. I turned to face him. I didn't say anything. I just looked at him. He stopped moving. Diane started crying. Real tears now, not manipulation. Where are we supposed to go? You're destroying a family. Emma found her voice. It was quiet but steady. You destroyed yourselves. You came into my home and treated me like a servant. You spent my money, damaged my property, took over my space, and never once showed me respect or gratitude. You were never going to leave. This was always the plan. Stephanie tried. Em, we were helping you. You needed family around. I needed respect. I needed partnership. I needed people who loved me, not people who used me. You gave me none of that. I checked my watch. 48 minutes. That broke the paralysis. They started moving. Diane rushed upstairs to pack. Roger followed. Stephanie and Kyle were arguing in harsh whispers about whose fault this was. The teenagers, Brandon and Kylie, actually looked ashamed. They grabbed their stuff quickly, quietly. As they packed, more truth spilled out. Roger admitted they'd planned to stay indefinitely, just until we figured out what we wanted to do next. Maybe a year or two. Stephanie confessed they were going to ask Emma to co-sign a car loan. You have good credit. We thought you'd help. Diane, face streaked with mascara, finally cracked. You were an easy target, Emma. Todd said you were desperate to get married, that you'd do anything to keep him. He said you'd never stand up for yourself. Todd tried to stop his mother. Mom, shut up. But Diane was past caring. He told us about the Brownstone on your second date. He looked up the property value. He said if he could marry you and get his name on the deed, We'd all be set. This was his idea. All of it. The room went silent. Emma stared at Todd. Is that true? Did you tell them that? Todd's face was red, trapped. You're taking this out of context. Did you say I was desperate? That'd do anything. Emma, answer me. He exploded. What do you expect? You're 32, you're single. You had no prospects before me. You should be grateful I gave you a chance. My mom's right. You were easy. You fell for everything. The slap echoed through the brownstone. Emma hit him. Hard, clean, her whole body behind it. Todd stumbled back, hand to his face, shocked. I smiled. Couldn't help it. I was proud. Emma's voice was steel. Get out. All of you. Now. I checked my watch. 22 minutes. I suggest you hurry. They scrambled, throwing clothes in suitcases, grabbing belongings, rushing. Diane tried to take a lampshade bought. I blocked her. That stays. You bought it with stolen funds. It's Emma's. I paid for it. With her credit card. Without permission. That's theft. The lamp stays. Roger tried to take tools he'd bought for his office. I stepped in front of him. Leave them. Stephanie wanted the rug from the living room. I bought this. With Emma's money. It stays. Kyle, Stephanie's husband, pulled Emma aside quietly, while everyone else packed. I'm sorry. I told Stephanie this was wrong. I told her we should leave weeks ago. She wouldn't listen to her mother. I should have done more. Emma just nodded, too drained to respond. The teenagers were the first out, hauling bags to the car. They both hugged Emma quickly, whispered apologies. They'd been kids. They'd followed their parents' lead. But at least they recognized this wasn't right. Kyle left next, clearly wanting distance from this disaster. Stephanie followed, sobbing. All arrogance gone. Roger went silently, defeated, probably realizing how much money they'd wasted on this scheme. Diane stopped at the door. One final attempt. You'll regret this, Emma. You'll end up alone, just like your father. Nobody will want you after this gets out. I stepped forward. She already has someone who wants her, someone who loves her unconditionally. Me. Her family. Her real family. Now leave before I have you arrested for harassment. Diane left. Todd was last. He stood in the doorway, suitcase in hand, staring at Emma. You're making the biggest mistake of your life. Emma's voice was calm. Finally calm. No. The biggest mistake was saying yes to you. Todd sneered. You'll never find anyone else. You're too old, too boring, I cut him off. Time's up. Leave now or I make the call. Todd looked at me. Saw zero give in my face. Realized it was over. He left. The door closed. The brownstone was silent. Emma stood in the middle of the living room, surrounded by the disarray of their hasty exit. She stared at the closed door for a long moment. Then she collapsed onto the couch, curled into a ball, and sobbed. Not from sadness, from relief, from release. From the overwhelming weight of a month of abuse finally lifting, I sat next to her, pulled her close, let her cry. I didn't say anything. There was nothing to say yet. She just needed to get it out. We sat there for 20 minutes while she cried herself empty. Finally, she sat up, wiped her face, looked around the brownstone. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I was so stupid. No, you were kind. They weaponized your kindness. That's not your fault. I should have seen it. Love makes us blind sometimes. That's human. Her phone buzzed. She looked at it, frowned, showed me the screen. A text from an unknown number. This is Patricia Greenwood. Your father's private investigator contacted me about Todd Harrison. I saw the inquiry and wanted to reach out. Thank you for investigating him. I tried to warn the woman before me, but she didn't listen until it was too late. He got $50,000 from her before she caught on. I'm glad your daughter had you. I wish I had someone like you. If you need any testimony or documentation for legal proceedings, I'm willing to help. Emma read it twice, then looked at me, horror dawning. I almost married him. I almost gave him everything. But you didn't. You're safe. You're free. And you're going to be okay. She looked around the brownstone. Her beautiful home, now empty of parasites. What do I do now? Whatever you want. It's your house. Your life. Your choice. She leaned against me, exhausted but breathing easier. Thank you for fighting for me. Always, sweetheart. Always. The next few days were a blur of activity. Emma changed the locks Monday morning. All of them. New keys, new deadbolts, new security system with cameras. Todd or his family couldn't just walk back in. She called a lawyer Monday afternoon. A excellent family law attorney named Susan Chen that Jack recommended. Wait, I need to use a different name. A excellent family law attorney named Susan Palmer that Jack recommended. Susan took one look at the documentation. Id gathered and smiled. This is prosecutable. Credit card fraud, property damage, attempted deed fraud, potentially harassment and coercion. You have options. Emma didn't want criminal charges. She just wanted them gone and wanted her money back. Susan sent a legal letter to Stephanie Monday evening. Return the funds charged to Emma's credit cards without authorization, or face criminal charges in civil suit. Stephanie's lawyer responded Tuesday morning. They'd settle. $12,347, the total of unauthorized purchases. Check delivered by Friday. Susan sent letters to Roger and Diane regarding the property damage. $4,000 in repairs for the floors, walls, countertop, and other damage their family caused. They settled too. Payment plan? But they'd pay. Susan contacted Todd's employer, a large pharmaceutical company, with documentation of the attempted deed fraud. Todd had signed an ethics clause in his employment contract. Fraud violated it. The company investigated, confirmed the facts, and terminated him Wednesday. The wedding venue refunded Emma's deposit after Susan explained the situation and provided evidence of Todd's fraud. They didn't want the liability or bad publicity. Emma was getting her money back, her life back, her home back. But the real work was internal. Emma started therapy Thursday. A counselor who specialized in emotional abuse and manipulation. Because that's what this had been, systematic abuse designed to break her down, make her compliant, make her easy to control. The therapist helped Emma see the patterns, how Todd had isolated her from friends, made her question her judgment, used her kindness as a weapon against her, how his family had reinforced it, created an environment where resistance felt impossible. Emma cried through most of her first session, but she went back for a second, and a third. Meanwhile, I helped her reclaim the brownstone. We spent Saturday cleaning, boxing up anything Todd's family had left behind, setting it on the curb for trash pickup. We scrubbed every surface they'd touched. It felt symbolic, cleansing. Sunday, we painted. The bathroom Diane had repainted. Garish yellow went back to soft blue. Emma's original choice. We took down Diane's tacky curtains, put up simple blinds Emma picked out. We removed the furniture Diane had bought, donated it to a legitimate charity, and brought back Emma's original pieces from storage. We turned Roger's office back into a reading room. I built built-in bookshelves, something I'd been planning to do for Emma anyway. We spent a week on them, working together, measuring, cutting, sanding, staining. It gave us time to talk. Emma processed out loud while we worked. I kept thinking if I just tried harder, if I was more accommodating, they'd appreciate me. But that's not how it works, is it? No, sweetheart. Some people see kindness as weakness. They don't appreciate it. They exploit it. How do I trust people again? Slowly, carefully. But you do trust again, because the alternative is becoming hard and closed off. And that's not who you are. I feel so stupid. You're not stupid. You're human. You wanted love. You wanted family. Those are beautiful desires. Todd and his family twisted them. That's on them, not you. We finished the bookshelves. They were beautiful. Deep cherry wood, floor to ceiling, with a rolling ladder. Emma filled them with books she'd been keeping in boxes, never had proper space for. She stood back, looking at the room, and smiled, really smiled. First genuine smile I'd seen in weeks. This is mine, she said softly. Really mine. Yes, it is. We painted the master bedroom next. Soft, gray, warm, and calming. New bedding, new lamps, new art on the walls, everything chosen by Emma. Nothing touched by Diane. Emma started a small vegetable garden on the rooftop terrace. Tomatoes, herbs, lettuce. She'd go up there in the evenings, water the plants, watch the sunset over Manhattan. I'd join her sometimes. We'd sit in comfortable silence. 3 weeks after the confrontation, Emma came to me with an idea. I'm thinking of renting out the third floor. Just one room, maybe two. To a nursing student. Someone who'll respect the space, keep to themselves, help with utilities. That's a good idea. I want to be careful, though. I want references, background checks, a real lease agreement. Smart. Susan can draft a proper lease. I don't want to be scared in my own home. You won't be. You're learning boundaries. That's strength, not fear. She posted an ad, got 12 responses, interviewed 5 candidates, chose a 24-year-old nursing student named Grace Thompson. Quiet, serious, grateful for the affordable room. She moved in with a single suitcase and a pile of textbooks. She paid rent on time, kept the space clean, occasionally joined Emma for coffee, but respected privacy. It worked. The house felt lived in again, but healthy this time. Boundaries. Mutual respect. Emma started dating again, carefully. Coffee dates, public places, no rushing. She met someone, a respiratory therapist from her hospital named David. He was kind, patient, took things slow. I met him once. He seemed decent. Emma seemed cautiously hopeful. I told her there was no rush. She had time. She had her home. She had herself back. One evening, about 2 months after everything happened, Emma and I sat on her front stoop with coffee, watching the neighborhood wind down for the night. "Can I ask you something?" Emma said. "Anything? Those 3 days you stayed here, observing everything. You were so calm, so controlled, but you must have been furious. How did you not explode?" I thought about it. I was furious. But fury without strategy is just noise. I needed evidence. I needed documentation. I needed to see the full scope of what they were doing. If I'd confronted them the first day, they would have made excuses, manipulated the situation, maybe turned you against me. I needed you to see it too. Really see it. You were gathering ammunition. Yes. That's cold. Sometimes love requires cold calculation. I had to protect you. And to do that, I had to be smart, not just emotional. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I'm glad you're my dad. I'm glad you're my daughter." We sat quietly for a while. Then Emma said, "What if I'd chosen him? Even after you told me everything? What if I'd asked you to leave and married him anyway? Then I would have grieved for you. I would have been heartbroken, but I would have respected your choice. You're an adult. Your life is yours. I can't force you to make decisions, even good ones. All I can do is give you information and trust you to use it. Would you have given up on me? Never. I would have stepped back, given you space, but I would have been ready the moment you needed me. That's what parents do. We don't abandon our children when they make mistakes. We wait, we're ready, and we help them find their way back." She squeezed my hand. A car pulled up across the street. A young couple got out, laughing, carrying groceries. New neighbors, probably. The neighborhood was always changing. Emma watched them. I want that someday. The real version, the healthy version. You'll have it, when you're ready, when the right person shows up. How will I know they're right? They'll add to your life, not take from it. They'll respect your boundaries, not test them. They'll want you to be strong, not weak. They'll celebrate your home, not try to take it. You'll know. She nodded, satisfied. We finished our coffee and went inside. 3 months after everything fell apart, Emma's Brownstone felt like a home again. I was there on a Saturday afternoon, helping her hang art in the living room. She'd bought a series of botanical prints, soft greens and blues, calming and beautiful. We measured, leveled, debated placement. Grace, her tenant, came down briefly to grab water from the kitchen. She thanked Emma for fixing the loose towel rack in the bathroom, chatted for a moment about her clinical rotation, then went back upstairs to study. Easy, respectful, healthy. Emma's phone rang. She glanced at it, smiled. It's David. We're getting dinner tonight. Italian place in Carroll Gardens. Have fun. He wants to meet you properly sometime. Not just a quick hello. Like, actual dinner together. I'd like that. She took the call in the other room. I could hear her laughing. Real laughter. Light and free. I looked around the brownstone. The spaces Wed repainted. The shelves Wed built. The furniture shed chosen. Every inch of it was hers now. Really, truly hers. Not just legally, but emotionally. Shed fought for it. Shed reclaimed it. Sarah would be proud. I could almost feel her presence in the golden afternoon light streaming through the tall windows. Shed loved Emma so fiercely. Shed taught Emma kindness. But Wed both forgotten to teach her boundaries. That was on us. But Emma had learned. The hard way? Painfully, but Shed learned. Emma came back, still smiling from her phone call. She helped me hang the last print. We stepped back, examined our work. Perfect, she said. Yes, it is. She made coffee. We sat at her kitchen table. The same table where this nightmare had played out 2 months ago. But it felt different now. Lighter. The ghosts were gone. I've been thinking, Emma said. About what happened. About what I learned. Tell me. I thought being kind meant being accommodating. I thought love meant sacrifice. I thought if I just gave enough, tried hard enough, made myself small enough, people would love me and stay. But that's not love. That's self-destruction. I nodded. Love should build you up, not tear you down. Todd didn't love me. He loved what I could give him. The house, the financial security, the compliant wife who wouldn't question him. And his family was the same. They didn't want to know me. They wanted to use me. Yes, I'm angry about it. I'm angry I wasted time, money, emotion on people who didn't deserve it. But I'm also grateful. Grateful. Because I learned. I learned what real love looks like. You fighting for me, that was love. You gathering evidence, documenting everything, staying calm when you wanted to rage, that was love. You didn't try to control me or make decisions for me. You gave me information and trusted me to choose. That's respect. That's what I deserve from everyone in my life. Her eyes filled with tears, but they were good tears. I almost lost myself, Dad. I almost gave away everything Mom and you worked so hard to give me. Not just the house, but the strength and self-respect you raised me with. I forgot my worth. You reminded me. I reached across the table, took her hand. You never lost your worth. Sweetheart, it was always there. You just couldn't see it for a while. But you found it again. And now you'll protect it. Yes, I will. We sat quietly for a moment. Then Emma said, what you did. What you said to them that night. That one sentence. It wasn't just about making them leave. It was about showing me I had the power to make them leave. That I owned my space, my life, my choices. You gave me permission to fight back. You didn't need my permission, but sometimes we need someone to stand with us before we remember we can stand alone. I won't forget again. I know you won't. She squeezed my hand, then let go and stood up. I need to get ready for dinner. David's picking me up at 6. Wear the blue dress. It's nice. She laughed. Since when do you notice dresses? Since your mother spent 35 years teaching me to notice. She kissed my cheek and went upstairs. I cleaned up the coffee cups, gathered my tools from the living room. My work here was done. Emma had her home back, her strength back, her future back. As I was leaving, Emma came back down, caught me at the door. Dad, wait. I never properly thanked you. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. Thank you for the brownstone. Thank you for giving me a home. But thank you more for teaching me I'm worth protecting. Thank you for showing me what real love looks like. Thank you for not giving up on me when I'd given up on myself. I hugged her tight. You're my daughter. I'll always fight for you. That's not heroism. That's just being your father. It's more than that. It's being human. It's caring about someone enough to do the hard thing, the uncomfortable thing, because it's the right thing. She pulled back, looked at me seriously. I'm going to be okay. Better than okay. I'm going to build a beautiful life in this house. I'm going to fill it with real love, real family, real joy. And when I have kids someday, I'm going to teach them what you taught me. That generosity means giving, but wisdom means boundaries. That kindness without self-respect is self-destruction. That you can't pour from an empty cup. And that real love never asks you to become smaller to make someone else feel bigger. I smiled. That's everything your mother and I wanted for you. I know. I finally understand. I left feeling lighter than I had in months. I drove back to my Manhattan condo, the city glowing in the early evening light. I thought about Sarah, about Emma, about the brownstone wed dreamed of giving her. The dream had almost turned into a nightmare. But Emma had fought her way back. She was stronger now, wiser, protected. I made dinner, simple pasta, ate alone but not lonely. I looked at the photo of Sarah I kept on the bookshelf, her smile frozen in time. I told the photo. She's more than okay. She's free. I imagined Sarah smiling back, proud of our daughter, proud of what wed built together. The greatest gift you can give someone isn't property or money. Those are just things. The greatest gift is teaching them to recognize their own worth and defend it. To know the difference between love and manipulation. To understand that boundaries aren't walls, they're foundations. I gave Emma a brownstone. But more importantly, I gave her the reminder that she deserved every good thing inside it, and the strength to protect it. Not just from others, but for herself. That's not just being a father. That's being human. That's caring enough to do the uncomfortable work of standing up when someone you love can't stand up for themselves. And then stepping back when they remember they can. Emma would have beautiful life. She'd fill that brownstone with real love someday. With a partner who respected her. With children she'd raise to know their worth. With friends who added to her life instead of taking from it. With joy earned through wisdom and strength. That's the real happy ending. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of growth. Not avoiding mistakes, but learning from them. Not building walls, but building foundations. Emma had her foundation now. Brick and mortar. Yes, but more importantly, self-respect, boundaries, and the knowledge that she was worth fighting for. That was worth everything. I fell asleep that night peaceful, knowing my daughter was safe, strong, and finally, completely free. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to fight for someone you love, even when they couldn't see they needed help? Have you ever watched someone you care about lose themselves trying to please others? How did you handle it? What would you have done in my situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who's facing something similar. And if this story touched your heart, please give it a like. Subscribe to hear more stories about real people navigating life's hardest moments with courage and wisdom. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who's forgotten their worth or needs a reminder that it's never too late to reclaim your life. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that true generosity isn't just giving material things. It's empowering the people you love to recognize their own strength. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is standing firm when someone needs to remember they deserve better. Take care of yourselves. Protect your peace. Know your worth. And never be afraid to fight for the people and things that matter most.